You are listening to the White Wall Sessions Radio.
Welcome to the White Wall Sessions Radio. I'm your host, Dan Schaefer. On tonight's show, part 2 of Nathan Kalish and the Last Callers, Escaping Pavement, and Camp Comfort. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter by searching the White Wall Sessions. The White Wall Sessions would like to thank these fine sponsors for their support. Last Stop CD Shop, Bell Incorporated, Workplace IT Management, Ben's Brewing Company, Screenflare, J. Rick Music, The Pink Moon Room, Minuteman Press, and South Dakota Friends of Traditional Music. Nathan Kalish brought his traveling fun show, The Last Callers, back to the studio for a Season 7 performance. Nathan calls Nashville home, but spends most of his days touring on the road. Nathan Kalish and the Last Callers are Nathan Kalish, guitar, harmonica and vocals, Jackie Ray Daniels, fiddle and vocals, Karen Frederick, bass, and Danny Pratt, drums.
We drank Alamo in the morning. We were back in bed by the afternoon. The skin just like the Basque Country. Kissed by the sun in the south, yeah. I went back to Tennessee when she took her husband by the rising sea. They were both raised a family, just like the ocean. She never belonged to me. We drank Alamo in the morning. We were back in bed by the afternoon. The skin just like the Basque Country. Kissed by the sun in the south, yeah. In his eyes my memories fade. East red wine and Coca-Cola stay. They stay on my mountain all night deep. Even this Spanish vintage. Is straight. I need something with less sweet a taste. Livers, memories you place, and bitter thoughts I what remains. We drank Alamo in the morning. We were back in bed by the afternoon. Skin just like the Basque Country. Kissed by the sun in the south, yeah.
Thank you. There's a lot of great players in Nashville, you know, and you find the ones you connect with and the ones that you can get along with and the ones that you like hanging out with, you know, because you're in a studio with them for 9 hours or in a van for 6 hours. You got to get along with the people, you know. That's just as much important as liking playing music with them, really, you know.
Yeah. So, is there just a lot of hungry players down there? That I mean, is there a lot of people that are just willing or okay with playing on other people's records and not even doing their own?
Well, it's just like anything. Like if you go there and you think you're good and you got a song and you find people and you're like, I want to do this. And they're like, I don't want to do that with you. So you got to find people that want to do it with you, you know, because there's no mold. It's music. It's art. You know, it's like just because somebody's good doesn't mean that you're going to make a good record. Just because somebody thinks they have a song doesn't mean they have a great song. Just because somebody goes there and they're wearing all the right clothes and they're hitting all the scenes and they're talking everybody doesn't mean that anybody wants to play in their band, you know. So you just got to find people that you connect with. And so I wouldn't say it's hungry, you know. Yeah. Like my drummer Dan, he plays with 1 million people and he's like sought after and he's a great guy, you know. And so people want to play with him and, you know, but he plays with me, so it's like that's great, you know, when he has the time, you know. So Jackie's kind of like that too, but she also kind of has a lot of enemies.
What's the definition to you of a good record? What makes a good record?
Oh man, there's so many, you know, great records. I mean, like there's no definition of a great record. I mean, it could be something slick and polished like the Blue Album by Weezer, or it could be something like Guy Clark, or, you know, it could be something totally like just live and raw, you know. You know, sometimes sometimes you hear something and you don't like it, and then you hear it the next day and you're like, what is this? This is great, you know. So, I mean, it's whatever you're trying to accomplish and whatever the songs are. I mean, great songs is obviously a good start, but I've heard a lot of great songs that don't sound good, you know, because they overproduce it or they underproduce it. Or, you know, the guitar player's playing through a Digitech amp or something, you know. It's like that could ruin an album right there, you know. So there's no rhyme or reason to any of it. You know, I have bad albums. I have good albums. I have... You know, for me, it was never about making anything great. It was just about doing things, you know, like kind of like the Neil Young approach where it's like, I'm just going to make art and then let God sort it out or whatever, you know, or the people or whoever, you know, and just live with my mistakes and my horrible ideas 10 years later, and then like have to go into a bar and somebody's playing a record you made and like oh, this is making me sick. It's horrible. You know, can you turn that off?
So, I mean... Every record you make, I would assume you say, okay, this is good. This is what I wanted to do.
No.
I
mean, sometimes you just, like, you're just, like, hanging out, and you're just hanging out with your buddy, and you're like, let's make a record. And it's like, okay. And then you spend, like, 3 days making a record, and then you're like, well, what should we do with it? It's horrible. And it's like, well, let's just put it on the internet. And it's like, okay, might as well, you know.
So, I mean, the writing the songs, playing them, recording them, there's a process there that's fairly simple for musicians, writers.
I wouldn't call it simple.
Well, no, I guess I wouldn't call it simple either. But yeah. I mean, it's you understand it because you're a musician. The business end is the part that's challenging. Typically, is that challenging for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's challenging for everybody because the business is so convoluted, and everybody's trying to make a buck, and they're not necessarily trying to make art. And you have to have the business side to be successful musically, but you don't have to have the business side to make good music. Just like you don't have to have great music to make the business side successful. And that happens all the time in Nashville, where you hear a record and everybody's talking about a record and you're like, really? And everybody's like, yeah, this is great. And then you listen to it again and you're like, really? I don't get it, you know? And then you just keep trying until you're just like, I just don't get it, you know? And then that person's, you know, doing huge tours or whatever. So, I mean, the business side is one part of it for sure. But then it's also kind of a great leveling field now, I think, with the industry, because you have things like Spotify. And yeah, Spotify's horrible. It, you know, dips into the pockets of musicians, sure, but it also introduces music to a lot of people that wouldn't hear your music because of algorithms and playlists and stuff. So if you have a song that is so good that anybody hears it, wants to turn it up and turn it on and find out who did it, like, there's no guarantee that'll happen, but there's more of a chance of that happening now than there was, you know, 15 years ago when you had to have payola to pay into. I mean, there's, you know, definitely things like that, you know, like buying into playlists, and Spotify is huge with like, you know, who's going to contribute what to our, you know, our playlists or whatever. They have their, you know, their Spotify playlists. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of, you know, like, here's the new boss, the same as the old boss, you know, but.
So people used to write singles and sell singles, and then they went into albums. Now they're kind of back to singles. Yeah. I mean, is an album to you sort of a capture of time in your life and those songs?
Yeah, absolutely. That's like the one thing that's for sure, you know. It's just a stamp. It's like, this was that time, you know, and it's either good or bad or or like you don't listen to it for a few years and then you come back and you're like, that wasn't so bad, you know? So, yeah, I mean, there's really no, I mean, you got to spend money, you got to have people around. It's really hard to make a good record, you know, but it's just a time and a place, you know, and you shouldn't be ashamed of that, you know, like all mistakes or whatever. Like what we did today, it's like you just play the songs and it's like, okay, well, there's things that I would do differently if I could do it again, but at the same time, it's fun to just play the songs. And then you're like, well, I guess I flubbed that one note or whatever, and I'll hate it forever. But that's who I am today, you know.
Because it just is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. People go crazy trying to make things perfect, you know. That's the world we live in, you know. You want to, like, look perfect. You want to sound perfect. You put all these filters on your face on Instagram. You put all these plugins in. You playlist all your vocals. You edit it down. You make everything perfect. And then people are like, I just don't like it. And it's like, well, because there's no humanity to it anymore, you know. So you got to find a balance there.
There ain't no hope for the poor in this country no more. I've been working since my hands were able. I used to go to church on Sunday. I'm working out overtime pay. It's the only thing that keeps the tax man with. All my friends, all my family, this whole forsaken country has been sold off for the rich man's unholy good. There ain't no hope for the poor in this country no more. I've been working since my hands were able. But my granddad, he spent his life working on that same factory line. When it came time to retire, they paid him special. But nowadays, they expect you to bring on back. But when you start slowing down, they place you with a younger man. Give me time, give me a poem. Your idle nation yearning for more. We'll put 'em to work, we'll grow on our factory floor to show 'em the door. There ain't no hope for the poor in this country no more. I've been working since my hands were able. Ain't no hope for the poor in this country no more. I've been working since my hands were able. And my
Coming up after the break, Escaping Pavement.
You are listening to the White Wall Sessions Radio.
Hi, I'm Ben Hanton, founder of Ben's Brewing Company. At Ben's, we've always appreciated the finer things in life, like great friends, great music, and great beer. Ben's Brewing Company is proud to announce our White Wall Session Ale. This light pale ale is sourced from the finest local ingredients and pairs exceptionally well with great friends and great music. Enjoy responsibly. Ben's Brewing Company, Yankton, South Dakota.
Good people drink Ben's beer.
You are listening to the White Wall Sessions Radio.
Escaping Pavement is the Detroit, Michigan Americana duo of Emily Burns and Aaron Markovitz. The duo was accompanied by stand-up bass player Costa Capellas. The group played 150 shows in 2018 and traveled over 60,000 miles in 28 states. Escaping Pavement is Aaron Markovitz, guitar, mandolin, and vocals, Emily Burns, guitar, vocals, and Costa Capellas, bass.
Master of make-believe, Mr. Fake it till you make it. But each time he dies a little more inside. It's hard to pretend, says a life worth living. Being true to yourself means being constantly in debt. Oh, well, sometimes things are okay for sucked back in and cuffed to that feeling. He's been told to save his money, but it would if he could, honey. Doesn't ask for much, but there's something he needs to say. Been on and left and right, just to make ends meet these days. Could you help me out a little? Send some good luck my way. Oh, well, sometimes things are okay for a little while. He gets sucked back in and cuffed to that feeling. I don't claim to be perfect, I don't claim to know it all. Oh, one thing's for certain, I try my best to heed the call. If you dare give me a sign, show me how I'm on my way to a life more than make-believe till the end of my days. Master of make-believe, always running on a whim to follow his heart wherever it may go. It's more than a gut feeling. Some folks might say one day he'll grow up and push it all out the way. Oh, well, sometimes I try my best to heed the call. If you're there, give me a sign. Show me I'm on my way to a life more than make-believe till the end of my days.
Thank you.
Well, I grew up listening to like the Beatles and Crosby, Stills and Nash and the band. Those were probably some of my like big formative influences when I was really getting into playing electric guitar and getting into like trying to start to write songs when I was a teenager. And like Aaron's were Stevie Ray Vaughan and Nirvana and
Yeah, quite the mix, right?
yeah, so they're pretty different. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it is a perfect mix, though.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
it can, and since we've started playing with Costa too, our songs I feel have, because Costa was in school for classical and jazz, and so that brings in a whole other when it comes to arranging, you know, and using the bow a lot, and it kind of brings in other influences. I think the more influences, you know, you can end up with some pretty interesting stuff going on.
Because I mean, let's talk about your bass.
Sure, man.
There was there were songs in there where the bass was the featured piece in that song, and
Sure.
it was just beautiful. How long have you been playing?
I started. I've been playing music since I was 5 years old. I started as a drummer, and then when I got into high school, I started playing the electric bass, and I taught myself all the John Paul Jones, Led Zeppelin licks. Yeah. And then from there, I picked up the upright and started studying jazz and classical and all that kind of stuff. So
I mean, you walked in with this upright bass, and you just kind of pulled it out of the case and started playing it, and I just immediately thought you were either plugged in somehow. It was loud, and it really sounded good.
Yeah,
Tell me about that bass.
all right, so that bass is it's got a really interesting story actually. It's a 1938 American Standard made in Cleveland, Ohio, and it would belong to Dayton Public Schools in Ohio, right? And they over 70, 80 years or whatever of them having it, they trashed it and destroyed it. And someone threw it into a dumpster, and I don't know how my professor found it in Michigan, but someone brought it to him, and he fixes and builds basses from scratch. And he came to me in a lesson and was like, Costa, I have the bass you're going to play for the rest of your life. It doesn't matter how you're going to pay for it. We'll figure it out. And that's kind of how I ended up with that one. So
That is a great story.
That's awesome.
It really, really sounds good.
Thanks.
I mean, that was in a dumpster. That's really hard.
yeah, right.
Thankfully, it was been revived. It has a whole nother life. That's
Yeah.
amazing. And okay, now let's go to that baritone guitar.
Sure.
Where and when? 'Cause, I mean, I think of baritone guitar. I think of Glenn Campbell and some of those things. Wichita
Yeah.
Lineman and some of that. Beatles even. I mean, George Harrison played a baritone a couple times.
It's really something that I feel like is used actually a lot in music, but people maybe don't necessarily pick up on it all the time because it's usually pretty subtle, but it gives this very kind of like warm undertone to things that really can kind of elevate a section of a song without being really kind of in your face,
Yeah.
maybe more like a regular electric guitar might be.
It's definitely got its own voice. And
Oh,
like you
yeah,
say,
definitely.
When it speaks, you can hear it. And it's like it works.
Yep.
Well, if you do it right.
Yeah, and part of the reason why we started using it was because of the fact that it's something that's just really not, you don't see it used all that much, which is kind of like, why not?
When you
It's
started
cool.
using it, did you say, I mean, was it laying there and said, let's try this thing? Or did you say, we need a baritone guitar?
No, we specifically bought one to try to start incorporating it because I think there were songs that we had written that we were like, this would be really cool with a baritone guitar on it. And so we bought it and then started working it in, and we're still kind of, it's a nice flavor to things, but I feel like you don't want to use it too much. It'd be like putting hot sauce on everything or ketchup on everything. It's like you got to use it sparingly,
Sure.
Sometimes it's good, but all the time, no.
Well, it's interesting when you say that because you said that you needed something. You felt you needed something, and that was what you needed. So you're hearing, when you're writing, you're hearing sort of the spaces and what needs to go there.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yeah. I think that you certainly start to hear different instruments or different voices when you're writing a song that you can pick out. It sounds like that sounds like an acoustic guitar part, or that sounds like a mandolin voice, or you might hear a couple of voices together. I really think that, mandolin and guitar would speak well together on this line, or a band, whatever it might be, especially if you're planning on going in the studio and recording and, adding flavors,
Right.
You certainly start to hear that. And that's more of an arrangement choice, I guess, than really a writing choice. The song is usually done pretty basically, and then when the arranging comes in, you'll probably start to hear those sounds and those voices going on.
Okay, so it kind of
to build
starts as just a sketch on a guitar or something.
Usually, yeah. I've written a couple things on the mandolin, but I still have trouble finding. The mandolin is such a higher voice that there's not a lot of body to really accompany a voice.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can work. Seldomly I do write on them, but a lot of times I'll end up writing on a guitar because it's just fuller, and then I'll add the mandolin. Usually the mandolin is like that other voice that's kind of coming in with the hook, or like the instrumental riff in between.
We wax and wane,
Like seasons change,
we love and hate.
like a hurricane.
Changes landscape, for better or for worse. Yin and yang, it's Mother Nature's way of guiding us on through the course. Ebbs and flows,
Like drifts of snow,
like the view I had.
and change the course.
Oh, where we walk the line and how we spend our time. Certainty, yes, it follows me. It follows me wherever I roam. It follows me. Yes, it follows me. It follows me wherever I may roam. It follows me. Yes, it follows me. It follows me wherever I may roam. Disaster strike, or simply fate flight, that is guiding you through every part of your life. There's one thing that's for sure, only one thing I can truly say. Certainty, yes, it follows me. It follows me wherever I lay. It follows me. Yes, it follows me. It follows me wherever I may roam. It follows me. Yes, it follows me. It follows me wherever I may roam.
Are there really guarantees, or just promises? Promises, or promise that we'll keep. Bearing the weight of a feather in the breeze. Hold our breath and wait. Nothing changes. Uncertainty, it follows me. Wherever I may roam, it follows me.
Thank you.
Coming up after the break, Camp Comfort.
You are listening to the White Wall Sessions Radio.
Hi, I'm Ben Hanton, founder of Ben's Brewing Company. At Ben's, we've always appreciated the finer things in life, like great friends, great music, and great beer. Ben's Brewing Company is proud to announce our White Wall Session Ale. This light pale ale is sourced from the finest local ingredients and pairs exceptionally well with great friends and great music.
Enjoy responsibly. Ben's Brewing Company, Yankton, South Dakota.
Good people drink Ben's beer.
You are listening to the White Wall Sessions Radio.
Camp Comfort is a 5-piece reggae fusion band from Rapid City, South Dakota.
Got any loud or distortion modes?
The band creates danceable, guitar-centered jams mixed with playful lyrics and tight harmonies. The band visited the studio for a Season 7 session and did not disappoint.
All right, thank you.
Camp Comfort is Nevada Ellison, guitar and vocals, Johnny Hastings, guitar and vocals, Zach Conger, drums, Kevin Bratt, guitar and vocals, and Joel Adams, bass.
She got her hands on her hip and a gun in the holster. She's looking good in the morning with her mimosa, and her smile make the sun shine brighter. But well, I don't know if I'm a fighter for the title, geez, yeah. And you bet that she gonna get back to the bottle again. Yes, yeah, and you bet that she gonna get even with one of your friends. Here she comes. Looking good in the morning when she be cooking, trying to please a man. But she's always trying to tease a man. A sneak attack it down the hallway. A little game that we like to play. I'm waiting for the right minute to attack. Sneak up behind her and I kiss her neck like yeah, yeah, yeah. And she be like yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll be like, yeah, yeah, yeah. She be like, yeah, yeah, yeah. She got her hands on her hip and a gun in the holster. Looking good in the morning with her mimosa. And her smile make the sun shine brighter, but well, I don't know if I'm a fighter for the title, geez, yeah. You bet that she gonna get back to the bottle again. Just get it, you bet that she gonna get even with one of your friends. She come. She got her fishnet stockings ripped high with pool poaching in the middle of the night. And she said, Mandy, I dare you to jump in this pool completely nude. And well, I know where this road goes. The water's real cold, so baby, don't look below like yeah, yeah, yeah. And she be like, yeah, yeah, yeah. On her hip and a gun in the holster. looking good in the morning with her mimosa. And her smile makes the sun shine brighter, but well, I don't know if I'm a father for the title, just yet. You bet that she gonna get back to the bottle again, just yet. You bet that she gonna get even with one of your friends. Here she comes.
So I've been writing music a long time. And somebody I was talking to you outside, right? One of you guys, I think it was you, about the head injury. She goes, why don't you get nervous when you play? And I've been writing since I was 15. And I used to never get nervous, or I used to always get nervous. And then when 2007, I got in an accident down in Florida and almost died. And it did something. I don't get nervous now, which is a blessing. But it was pretty tough time, especially for my mom at the time. And since then I've just kind of been pushing the gas down, and I rounded all these guys up because these guys are the best vibe, the best artists. Like, you can do anything with these guys. You want to play country? You can do it. You want to play reggae? You can do it. You want to play funk? They already had one of the best funk bands around. We can do it. We can do it all. So
when you're writing a song, are you just write it for you, and then these guys take it where it's going to be? Or do you kind of have an idea that, well, I bet these guys are going to take this somewhere, and I'll write it for that?
When I write a song, I get asked that question a lot. And what I always tell people is, like, when I write a song, if I don't feel it, you guys won't feel it. So when I'm writing a song, lyrics don't just come to me. I mean, sometimes they do. Like the Friends song that we played first, that lyric, I woke up in the morning and I'm fine being famous with my friends was in my head. So I jumped out of my bed and I was like, all right, write that down. But most of the time, it doesn't come that easy. We'll say a line 1,000 times in a row before, oh, yeah, I would listen to that. That's cool. Or I read a line and, like, if it, brings me to emotion, if tears or joy or happy or whatever you feel something. If you get goosebumps, that's a good telltale sign. That's a good line. Keep that one.
Yeah.
And that's basically all.
So when you're writing, you write on a guitar?
I do.
Okay. And then you writing the song to write the song. And then when you bring it to these guys, does it ever veer off into a place where you never even thought it was going to go?
Yeah. Yesterday it did. We were messing with this new song, and I had this idea, and we're going to go here. And then we started grooving it, and I was like, all right, you're right. Goosebumps. Let's keep going.
So some of the other guys, what is that like when he brings a song? And, I mean, what's the first reaction you get? And then do you just start finding your place on it?
Yeah, pretty much. He always has good lyrics. He says it doesn't come to him, but it really does most of the time.
It's a vision. Like
He
seriously.
has it with the lyrics, and then we kind of help structure it, and add groovy parts to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty easy actually. He just kind of like comes up with everything, and
We
we're
just
like, hey, we're gonna do
started.
this, and hey, this is a cool song.
I like the campfire lighting. She liked to stay up all night and I like to watch the sunrise with my friends on a summertime bend. And I like to wake up to a time full of morning dew, and I like to see the reflection of the sunrise in your eyes. Sea of campfire smoke still settled in the valley of the rising sun, and the bacon and the coffee's waking the zombies one by one. She said, yeah, the bacon and the coffee's waking the zombies one by one. But she said, she know I never want the summer to end. She said, yeah, and she know I never want the summer to end. She said, yeah, she know I never want the summer to end. I never want the summer to end. I never want the summer to end this. And I make a snowball to defend me and my crew, cause we were 8 years old, hanging by the front porch, a snowball wall with me and my boy. Yeah, with me and my boy. And I like to hike up to the top of the mountaintop with you and I like to get fresh turns in the morning time before the snow gets burned. And she said, I like to get fresh turns in the morning time before the snow gets burned. But she said, she know I never want this winter to end. But she said, yeah, she know I never want this winter to end. But she said, yeah, she know I never want this winter to end. Never want this winter to end. Never want this winter to end. This. Babies on the ground and they running around. I always love that springtime smell. And I just wanted you to know the seasons are part of our soul. Part of our soul. You know I never want the summer to end. She said, yeah. She know I never want my winter to end. She said, yeah. She know I never want my seasons to end. I never want my seasons to end. I never want my seasons to end. This.
The White Wall Sessions is recorded at Last Stop Studios in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and is produced by Spectrum Films Incorporated. Executive producers are Jeff Zuger, Doug Taylor, Greggy Johnson, and Jay Fishback. Head of broadcast is Dave Palmer. Associate producer is Mike Yeager. The White Wall Sessions Radio is produced and edited by Jeff Zuger. Audio recording and mixing by Carl Koiser, Kevin Phipps, and Dave Palmer. Scheduling and artist relations, Tom Eisner. I'm your host, Dan Schaefer. Join us next week, same time, same station.
You are listening to the White Wall Sessions Radio.